You don't become attractive by talking louder. You become attractive by being louder without words. The most magnetic people don't chase. They command attention with their energy, their posture, their silence. This audiobook isn't about pretending to be confident. It's about becoming someone who doesn't need to prove anything. If you want to be silently attractive, it starts right here, by mastering your presence, your habits, and your control. The world will start to notice you when you stop needing it to. Chapter 1. Stop trying to be liked. Start being respected. You've spent most of your life trying to be liked. Trying to please everyone. Trying to fit in, blend in, and make everyone around you comfortable, except yourself. But here's the truth. The more you chase being liked, the less you are respected. And the less you respect yourself. Being liked is cheap. Being respected is earned. One is based on comfort. The other is based on strength. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. People-pleasing is emotional slavery. It's living on your knees while pretending to stand tall. It's laughing at jokes you hate, saying yes when you mean no, and hiding your truth to avoid disapproval. And you do it because you crave validation. You do it because you think being liked means being safe. But it doesn't. It makes you replaceable, forgettable, invisible. When people sense that you need their approval, they lose respect for you, instantly. That's human nature. We don't respect what needs us. We respect what stands without us. You have to understand this. Attraction, real attraction, starts with how you see yourself. It's not about clothes. Not about looks. Not about charm. It's about energy. It's about the silent message you send. I don't need your validation. I validate myself. That's power. That's presence. That's what draws people in. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. Respect begins where approval ends. When you stop explaining yourself, defending yourself, and seeking permission for your existence, something shifts. You move differently. You speak less. You stop overreacting. And suddenly, people listen when you do speak. Because silence has power. Because restraint has weight. Most people think silence means weakness. They think the loudest voice wins. But the truth is, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. They talk because they fear being unseen. They perform because they fear being forgotten. And you must not become that person. Your silence should speak confidence. Your calm should speak strength. Your stillness should say, I am in control. Watch people who are truly respected. They don't over-explain. They don't rush to respond. They don't try to prove they're right. They sit back. Observe. Respond with intention. Their power is in their composure. Their attractiveness is in their restraint. They don't chase respect. They command it through energy. And you can do the same. You have to kill the part of you that needs constant approval. That's the key. You have to stop performing for applause. You have to stop softening your opinions just to be accepted. Because every time you betray your truth to be liked, you lose a piece of your power. And one day, you wake up realizing that your entire personality was built on what others wanted from you, not who you actually are. That's not living. That's acting. You don't need their permission to be confident. You don't need their validation to be valuable. You don't need to be liked to be powerful. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be respected. Here's how you start changing it. Stop explaining every decision you make. Stop defending every boundary you set. Stop apologizing for being yourself. When someone questions you, don't rush to fill the silence. Hold your ground. Look them in the eye. Say what you mean once, and let your energy carry the rest. That's how you teach people to respect you. That's how you reprogram the way the world responds to you. Respect is built on consistency. Every time you hold your boundary, you reinforce your worth. Every time you walk away from disrespect, You teach others how to treat you. Every time you stay calm when provoked, you show strength that no words can describe. It's not about being liked. It's about being respected. That's the key. You must learn to enjoy being misunderstood. You must get comfortable with people not approving of you, because that's when you'll finally start living freely. You will lose people when you stop trying to please them. Good. Lose them. You'll lose the wrong people, and that's how you make space for the right ones, the ones who respect your silence, your boundaries, your self-control. You'll find peace in solitude. You'll find power in restraint. And that's where silent attraction begins. Understand this deeply. Respect is magnetic. It makes people pay attention when you enter the room. It makes them lower their tone when they speak to you. It makes them think twice before crossing your boundaries. And you don't achieve it by talking louder or doing more. You achieve it by being clear about who you are and refusing to bend for anyone. It's not about arrogance. It's about self-possession. It's about standing tall in your truth, even if you stand alone. Because that's what people secretly crave, someone who's not afraid to be themselves without needing constant reassurance. That's the kind of energy that turns heads. That's the kind of presence that demands respect. You don't need to be liked. You don't need to explain yourself. You don't need to chase validation. All you need is quiet confidence and emotional control. And the moment you embody that, people will sense it. They'll treat you differently. They'll listen more. They'll want to be around you, not because you try, but because your silence speaks louder than words ever could. You have a choice. Keep chasing approval and stay invisible. Or build respect and become unforgettable. You have a choice. Keep seeking comfort. Or build power through discomfort. You have a choice. Keep being liked. Or start being respected. Because the truth is simple, when you stop trying to be liked, you finally become someone worth respecting. You've just taken the first step toward becoming silently attractive. You've learned that respect begins where people-pleasing ends. Now it's time to go deeper, to learn how to use your energy itself as a weapon of attraction. Chapter 2. Energy speaks louder than words. You can say all the right things. You can have the perfect words, the perfect timing, the perfect tone. But if your energy doesn't match your message, people won't believe you. Energy doesn't lie. Words do. That's the truth. People may not remember what you said, but they will always remember how you made them feel. That's the rule of human connection. It's not about how clever your sentences are, it's about the energy behind them. You've seen it before. Someone walks into a room, says almost nothing, yet everyone turns to look. It's not magic. It's energy. Your energy is your silent message. It's your aura, your presence, your internal state projected outward. And the truth is, people can feel it. They can feel when you're confident. They can feel when you're nervous. They can feel when you're desperate for approval. You can't fake it. You can't hide it. You can't talk your way around it. You either radiate power, or you leak insecurity. There's no in-between. That's why mastering your inner state is everything. That's why the most attractive people don't talk much. They project stability. They don't say, "I'm confident." They feel confident. And everyone else feels it too. That's the secret. That's the key. When your mind is chaotic, your energy is chaotic. When your emotions are unregulated, your energy becomes noisy, scattered, and weak. And people sense it instantly. Have you ever talked to someone who made you feel uneasy for no clear reason? They weren't saying anything wrong, but their energy was off. Their words and energy didn't align. That's the disconnect. If you want to be silently attractive, your inner world must be clean, grounded, and intentional. Your outer world is just a reflection of what's happening inside. So stop worrying about what to say and start focusing on how you feel. Because your energy speaks before your mouth opens. You have a choice. You can keep chasing validation through words. or you can build respect through vibration. It starts by becoming emotionally neutral. Not cold, calm. Not detached, disciplined. When someone insults you, breathe. Don't react. When someone ignores you, don't chase. When someone tries to provoke you, smile quietly and walk away. Why? Because your energy is more powerful than their noise. You teach people how to treat you by how little you respond to their chaos. That's the lesson. That's emotional control. That's what makes your energy impossible to ignore. Let's talk about posture. Let's talk about the physical part of energy. Your body is a transmitter. The way you sit, stand, and move tells people everything about how you feel about yourself. Are your shoulders tense? You're communicating fear. Is your gaze shifty? You're communicating self-doubt. Is your breath shallow? You're communicating anxiety. You don't need to say a word. Your body already told the story. So fix your energy posture. Stand tall, breathe deep, move slow. That's what controlled energy looks like. When your movements are deliberate, your presence feels powerful. When your tone is steady, your energy feels grounded. When your words are few, your energy feels mysterious. That's the silent charisma that draws people in without effort. Think about it. When you meet someone with calm energy, you trust them faster. You feel safe around them. You want to listen. That's what makes calmness magnetic. Because everyone is tired of chaos. Everyone is starving for peace. And if you become that peace, you become irresistible. You don't need fancy words. You don't need fake confidence. You just need controlled energy. The more still you are inside, the more powerful your energy becomes outside. That's why meditation, solitude, and silence are not luxuries. They're training. Training for your mind. Training for your presence. Training for your energy. You can't fake quiet power. You must become it. Your goal is not to impress people. Your goal is to influence people, silently. And influence doesn't come from noise. It comes from energy alignment. So ask yourself, what energy do you carry into every room? Do you enter like someone seeking approval, or like someone who already has it? Do you project insecurity, or peace? Do you radiate desperation, or discipline? The answer defines your level of attraction. That's the difference between those who are ignored and those who are respected. The respected don't need to convince anyone. Their presence is the evidence. You don't have to prove your value when your energy already declares it. If you want to change your energy, change your habits. Because habits are energy anchors. Wake up earlier. That builds calm confidence. Train your body. That grounds your energy. Keep your promises. That strengthens your aura. Spend time in silence. That sharpens your power. Every act of self-discipline adds voltage to your presence. Every time you control your reaction, your energy becomes stronger. Every time you refuse to explain yourself, your power doubles. You are constantly charging or draining your energy through your actions. Choose wisely. That's the key. When your energy is right, you don't chase attention. You attract it. You don't have to shout to be noticed. People feel your steadiness. They feel your self-assurance. They feel your peace. That's why some people light up the room without speaking, because their energy speaks louder than words ever could. Remember this, your energy is your identity. Your silence is your power. Your control is your magnetism. When you stop performing for attention and start living in emotional alignment, you become untouchable. So the next time you walk into a room, don't wonder what to say. Just breathe, stand tall, and feel your worth. Because the world can only respond to the energy you believe in. You don't need their permission. You don't need to impress anyone. You just need to control your energy. That's the foundation of silent attraction. And once you master that, once your energy becomes stable, grounded, and calm, people won't just hear you. They'll feel you. You've learned to master your energy. You've learned that calmness commands attention without effort. Now it's time to learn the most powerful form of communication, silence itself. You've mastered presence. Now, let's explore the pause that makes presence powerful. Chapter 3: The Power of Controlled Silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not absence. Silence is strength under control. The loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful. The one who speaks less, who listens more, who chooses words with precision, that's the one who holds the real power. Controlled silence is magnetic. It's the discipline of saying nothing when everyone else is desperate to speak. It's the art of letting your energy talk before your mouth does. And in a world addicted to noise, your silence becomes your loudest message. You don't need to speak to be heard. You don't need to explain to be understood. You don't need to fill every silence to feel safe. That's what weak people do. They fear silence because silence exposes them. They fear the pause because in that quiet moment, their insecurity screams. But not you. Not anymore. You are learning to weaponize your silence. You are learning that the less you say, the more people listen. You are learning that when you stop reacting instantly, you gain control over every situation. That's power. That's presence. That's silent dominance. Controlled silence is emotional control in action. When you stay silent after being provoked, you win. When you pause before responding, you win. When you let others expose themselves through their own words, you win. Because silence gives you time. Time to think. Time to observe. Time to understand what others reveal when they can't stand still in quiet. You learn more about people in silence than you ever will through conversation. Watch what happens when you stay quiet while someone tries to justify themselves. Their truth spills out. Watch what happens when you stay calm in conflict. The other person scrambles to fill the space. Watch what happens when you stop explaining yourself. People begin to question themselves instead of you. That's the power of controlled silence. You don't have to argue to prove your intelligence. You don't have to explain your worth. You don't have to respond to every opinion that challenges you. Let them talk. Let them project. Let them assume. Because while they waste energy trying to be seen, you are conserving yours. That's the secret advantage. Silence gives you control over the rhythm of interaction. You decide when to speak, and that decision carries weight. When you finally do speak, people stop and listen, because you've trained them to. They know your silence means you're thinking. They know your pause means purpose. They know your words are deliberate. That's how silent people influence without effort. You have to unlearn the urge to fill every silence. That urge comes from insecurity, from the fear that if you're not speaking, you're not relevant. But the opposite is true. The one who can sit in silence without discomfort controls the room. Try it. Sit in a conversation and say less. Notice how people start explaining more, overcompensating, revealing themselves. Notice how your calmness makes them anxious. Notice how they lean toward you, waiting for your response. That's attraction. That's dominance. That's influence. You don't win by speaking first. You win by speaking last, or not at all. Controlled silence doesn't mean avoidance. It's not weakness disguised as stillness. It's the confidence to say, I don't need to prove myself to you. You have a choice in every moment. You can speak to gain approval, or stay silent to maintain control. You can fill space with noise, or fill it with presence. And presence always wins. When you walk into a room, silence for the first few seconds. Let your body, your energy, your eyes do the talking. That pause builds tension, and tension is magnetic. That's what people feel when someone silently commands attention. You are not avoiding attention, you're creating it through absence. The best leaders, the best negotiators, the most respected people, they use silence like a weapon. They let others talk themselves into mistakes. They listen to words and tone and emotion. They control the flow by saying less and meaning more. That's the discipline you must master. Measured words, deliberate pauses, complete awareness. Because when you control your silence, you control the entire dynamic. And here's the truth. Silence intimidates the insecure and impresses the confident. The weak interpret it as arrogance. The strong recognize it as self-command. Controlled silence is also a mirror. When you stop speaking, you start hearing your own mind clearly. When you stop reacting, you start understanding. When you stop performing, you start being. Silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. It's where you process emotion. It's where you align with clarity. It's where you reclaim your energy. Most people are noisy because they're confused. You become silent because you're clear. That's the difference between chaos and control. You don't need their permission to be silent. You don't need to explain your quietness. Your silence is not weakness. It's your filter, your armor, your power. Every pause is a statement. Every moment of restraint is strength. Every unspoken thought adds to your mystery. And mystery attracts curiosity. Curiosity attracts attention. Attention turns into respect. You see how silence builds power layer by layer? That's why the truly magnetic don't overshare. They reveal just enough to intrigue, never enough to be predictable. Their silence keeps people guessing, and guessing is what keeps people hooked. You have a choice. You can keep talking to be noticed, or you can stay silent and be felt. You can react emotionally, or respond strategically. You can chase validation, or sit in control. Silence separates amateurs from professionals. It separates followers from leaders. It separates noise from authority. That's the key. That's how you shift from being liked to being respected, without saying a word. So practice it. The next time you're in a disagreement, pause. The next time you're tempted to explain yourself, don't. The next time someone disrespects you, look at them and say nothing. Watch what happens. Watch how the silence makes them uncomfortable. Watch how it reveals their insecurity, not yours. Your silence will speak louder than their noise ever could. That's what makes you silently attractive. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes people respect you without even understanding why. You have mastered silence as a tool for control. Now it's time to learn another form of silent communication, the physical kind. Because your body, your appearance, your posture all speak before your mouth does. Chapter 4. Dress and move like you respect yourself. People judge what they see before they hear what you say. That's not arrogance. That's human psychology. Before you speak, before you explain, before you reveal your character, the world has already scanned your energy, your movement, your clothes, your posture, your facial expression. And the truth is simple. You either send the message, I respect myself, or you don't. There's no middle ground. You don't need designer brands. You don't need to follow trends. You need to look like you care. Because when you present yourself with order, precision, and confidence, people take you seriously before you even open your mouth. Your dress and your movement tell the world who you are, and if you don't control that message, someone else will. Let's start with something simple, your clothes. Every piece you wear communicates something. Wrinkled shirts say, I don't care. Dirty shoes say, I don't pay attention. Loud, desperate fashion says, please notice me. But clean lines, neutral colors, and a fit that looks intentional, that says, I'm grounded. It says, I'm not trying, I already am. You have to understand, you are always broadcasting. Even in silence. Even in stillness. And if your energy says, I respect myself, people feel it. People follow that. Because respect starts with self-discipline, and dressing well is one of the most visible forms of it. It's not about vanity. It's about standards. It's not about showing off. It's about showing self-control. The way you present yourself tells others how to treat you. And when you raise your personal standard, the world adjusts. You've probably met someone who walked into a room and instantly drew attention without saying a single word. You noticed the way they moved, calm, steady, unbothered. You noticed how their clothes fit them just right, how they carried themselves as if they had nothing to prove. That's not luck. That's deliberate. That's silent power. People who respect themselves don't rush. They don't fidget. They don't apologize for existing. They move with intention. Every gesture, every step, every glance, measured, controlled, precise. That's what makes people lean in. Because confidence is rhythm. It's pacing. It's composure under your own skin. Now, I want you to really think about this. How do you move when no one is watching? Because that's where it begins. If you slouch when you're alone, if you shuffle your feet or drag your body like it's a burden, you're training yourself to move with weakness. But when you hold your posture even in solitude, straight back, chin slightly lifted, slow, intentional motion, you're training your subconscious to believe, I matter. I respect myself. And when you walk like that in public, people sense it. They might not know why, but they feel it. You look like someone who doesn't need approval. Someone who's already centered. That's magnetic. That's silent attraction. Remember this, you are not dressing for others. You are dressing to remind yourself who you are. The man or woman you aspire to be. How do they dress? How do they walk? How do they look when they enter a room? Now embody that. Not tomorrow. Now. You see, your environment responds to what you project. If you walk into a room slouched and distracted, people treat you like background noise. But when you enter a space upright, clean, focused, calm, people pay attention. They don't even know why. They just feel your discipline. And discipline is rare. That's why it's respected. Every small detail matters. Your shoes, your hair, your scent, your posture. Not to impress, but to express. You're sending a message, I'm in control of myself. And the truth is, people trust those who look like they're in control. They follow them. They respect them. Because your external order mirrors your internal clarity. Here's the mindset shift you need to make. Your presentation is not optional. It's part of your identity. The same way you wouldn't speak carelessly, you shouldn't dress carelessly. The same way you wouldn't waste your time, you shouldn't move without purpose. You are training the world how to see you, every single day. If you move sloppily, they'll handle you carelessly. If you dress without thought, they'll overlook you. But if you move with grace, if you stand with power, if you wear discipline like armor, people remember you. And that's the truth. Attraction begins with alignment. When your inner standards match your outer presence, people feel it. It's not about perfection, it's about consistency. Clean shoes. Straight posture. Calm gestures. Confident stillness. That's how you say, I respect myself. Stop saying, I don't care what people think. Start saying, I care about who I am. That's the difference between arrogance and confidence. One tries to prove, the other just is. So tomorrow morning, before you leave your house, look in the mirror and ask yourself, would I follow this person? If the answer is no, fix it. Adjust it. Raise it. Because the world mirrors what you project. And remember, attraction isn't found in words, it's revealed in behavior. People notice how you carry yourself before they even process your face. You are constantly communicating. So communicate power. Communicate calm. Communicate self-respect. You have a choice, to move like someone seeking validation, or to move like someone who already has it. Choose the latter. Always. Because the truth is, people are drawn to those who don't need to be noticed. They are drawn to order. They are drawn to quiet confidence. They are drawn to the ones who move through chaos with poise. Respect yourself in every detail, and the world will follow your lead. Chapter 5. Emotional control is irresistible. Let me tell you a truth that most people never learn. The most magnetic person in any room is the one who cannot be shaken. Not the loudest. Not the most attractive. Not the funniest. The one who stays calm when everyone else is losing control. That's power. That's rare. That's irresistible. Because emotional control isn't just self-discipline. It's dominance over chaos. It's the silent message that says, "You can't move me." And when people realize they can't control you emotionally, they start respecting you instinctively. That's how true attraction begins. Not through words, but through composure. Look around you. The world is addicted to reaction. Everyone is triggered, offended, outraged. Everyone is rushing to defend, explain, prove. But the calm one, the centered one, stands out. Because calmness in a storm is not weakness, it's mastery. You have to remember this. People mirror your emotional state. If you're anxious, they'll feel tense. If you're desperate, they'll pull away. But when you remain calm, they settle into your rhythm. They trust your energy. That's why emotional control is magnetic. It gives others safety. It gives them certainty. And certainty is irresistible. Let's make this clear. Emotional control doesn't mean suppressing feelings. It means directing them. It means you decide when to speak, when to act, and when to stay silent. You don't let impulses lead. You lead yourself. When someone disrespects you, emotional control means you don't rush to defend yourself. You look them in the eye, calm and steady, and let your silence do the work. Because silence backed by self-respect is louder than anger ever will be. You have a choice, react or respond. One is impulsive. The other is intentional. Reacting gives away your power. Responding keeps it. Every time you stay composed when someone tries to provoke you, you're silently saying, "I am stronger than your chaos." That's what makes you unforgettable. Because most people are slaves to emotion. They snap, they panic, they beg, they break. But when you don't, when you remain still, precise, grounded, people wonder, what's different about them? They can't explain it, but they feel it. And that's how emotional control becomes attraction. Think about it. Have you ever met someone who doesn't flinch, who listens without reacting, who answers slowly and deliberately? You immediately trust them more. You respect them more. You might even find them mysterious, because they don't give their emotions away cheaply. That's value. That's rare. In every social setting, the one who controls emotion controls the interaction. When you stay calm, others adjust their tone. When you pause, others lean in. When you slow your speech, others follow your rhythm. This is real influence, quiet, invisible, yet absolute. You don't need to dominate people with words. You dominate with presence. Emotional control is the foundation of that presence. Let's be honest, emotional control takes practice. It doesn't happen overnight. You'll feel the urge to react. You'll feel your body heat up when someone disrespects you. You'll want to prove, to fight, to show strength. But real strength is not reaction. Real strength is resistance. You train it every day, when you choose not to argue, when you don't check your phone in anxiety, when you stay composed under pressure. That's emotional discipline. That's how you build the foundation of your character. Repeat this truth until it sinks in. You don't need to respond to everything that disturbs you. Every time you hold your peace, you build your power. Every time you stay centered, you increase your value. People are drawn to emotional stability because it's rare. It's refreshing. It feels safe. The calm person becomes the anchor in every storm. The emotional person becomes the noise. Ask yourself, who do you want to be? Because when you master emotional control, you stop being predictable. You stop being easy to manipulate. No one can make you angry on command. No one can pull you into drama. No one can drain your energy without permission. That's freedom. That's the ultimate self-respect. And don't mistake this calmness for detachment. Emotional control doesn't make you cold. It makes you clear. You feel everything, but you choose what deserves your energy. You choose what deserves your reaction. That's mastery. Here's the truth. You cannot attract powerfully if you're emotionally weak. People sense emotional instability instantly. They may pity it, but they don't respect it. Respect follows composure. Respect follows calmness under pressure. The more you train emotional control, the more magnetic you become. Because control is confidence. When you can't be provoked, you're untouchable. When you're untouchable, you become the one people chase, not because you're trying to be special, but because your energy feels safe and powerful. Start practicing in small moments. When someone cuts you off in traffic, stay silent. When someone ignores you, stay composed. When you feel misunderstood, breathe instead of explaining. Every one of those moments is a test. Pass enough of them, and you transform your entire aura. Say this to yourself daily: I don't need to be loud to be strong. I don't need to react to prove I care. I don't need to explain myself to feel understood. That's how emotional control becomes second nature. And once it does, your presence changes. You walk differently. You talk differently. You look unbothered, untouchable, grounded. That's the kind of presence that pulls people in without effort. Because people are drawn to calm energy the way fire is drawn to oxygen. It feeds them. So from this moment, decide that nothing external deserves more control over your inner peace than you do. You set the tone. You choose the rhythm. You decide when to engage. That's not avoidance. That's leadership. You are not here to be reactive. You are here to be magnetic. You are here to command attention through calm. Emotional control is not just attractive, it's irresistible. Because it communicates the one thing everyone craves but few possess: power over self. You've mastered composure. Now it's time to understand how calm energy transforms into influence. Chapter 6. Learn the language of body confidence. Before you ever say a word, your body has already spoken. It's told the world whether you're confident or insecure, powerful or hesitant, calm or chaotic. You can't fake it. You can't hide it. Your body broadcasts your truth. Here's the harsh truth most people ignore. People don't listen to your words first. They read your body. They see your posture. They sense your tension. They feel your energy. And that's what decides whether they respect you or forget you. That's why body confidence is everything. Your silence becomes power when your body speaks confidence. Let's make this clear from the start. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have a model body or move like a celebrity. You need to move like you respect yourself. Because when you respect yourself, people respect you. Watch the confident ones. They don't rush. They don't fidget. They don't apologize for existing. Their energy is slow, deliberate, unshaken. Their eye contact doesn't dart. Their shoulders don't fold. Their breathing doesn't rush. They're calm because they trust themselves. And trust, that's the foundation of all attraction. Now, look at the opposite. The nervous talker. The overthinker. They can't hold still. They play with their hands. They touch their face. They over-explain. They break eye contact too soon. Every movement screams, "I'm not sure about myself." And people pick up on that instantly. You have to remember this. People believe your body more than your words. You can say, "I'm confident," but if your shoulders are tight and your voice shakes, no one buys it. You can say, "I don't care," but if you're tapping your foot and shifting your eyes, everyone knows you do. Confidence isn't what you say, it's what you show. That's the key. Confidence is shown, not spoken. So how do you train it? You train it through awareness, repetition, and control. Start with your posture. Every time you stand, straighten your spine. Roll your shoulders back. Relax your jaw. Keep your chest open, not puffed out, but steady and natural. You're not trying to look intimidating, you're showing that you're not intimidated. There's a difference. Then, your eye contact. Stop avoiding it. Stop breaking it too soon. Hold eye contact just long enough to show presence. Not to intimidate, not to dominate, but to say, I'm here. I'm grounded. Your eyes reveal your energy. If your eyes dart around, it tells the world you're lost. But if your eyes move slow and steady, people feel you're calm. And calm is confidence. Next, your movement. Confident people don't rush. They take their time. They walk with purpose. Every step is deliberate. Every motion has weight. When you move too fast, it screams insecurity. When you move with ease, it whispers authority. You have a choice. You can keep shrinking, fidgeting, apologizing with your body, or you can reprogram it. Because your body listens to your mind, and your mind listens to your body. Change one, and you change both. When you consciously adjust your posture, you start to feel more powerful. When you move slower, you begin to think clearer. When you breathe deeper, your anxiety drops. It's not magic, it's neuroscience. Every action tells your nervous system what to believe. When you slump, your brain thinks, we're small. We're afraid. When you stand tall, your brain says, we're safe. We're strong. And others will see it too. Your silence becomes power when your body speaks confidence. Say it again, your silence becomes power when your body speaks confidence. Let's go deeper. Stop fidgeting. Stop adjusting your clothes. Stop looking for something to do with your hands. Stillness is confidence. Stillness is control. Stillness says, I'm comfortable with myself. When you enter a room, don't rush to fill the silence. Let your presence do the talking. Stand still. Breathe. Let your calmness dominate the space. The world notices those who are comfortable in silence. Here's another powerful truth. Your energy teaches people how to treat you. If your energy says, I'm unsure, people will treat you like you need approval. If your energy says, I'm certain, people will treat you with respect. And energy always speaks through the body first. You don't need to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to prove your worth through words. You need to master control over your physical presence. That's what commands silent attraction. Practice this daily. When you sit, sit with your back straight. When you stand, keep your head up. When you walk, slow your pace just a little. When you speak, breathe first. These small details create massive perception shifts. It's not about arrogance. It's about alignment. It's not about dominance. It's about discipline. You don't need to overpower anyone. You just need to be unshakably grounded in yourself. Remember this, confident people are consistent. Their body doesn't change when the situation does. They don't suddenly shrink in front of power. They don't suddenly stiffen when criticized. They remain composed, because their confidence comes from within, not from feedback. You don't need their permission to stand tall. You don't need their approval to walk slow. You don't need their validation to hold your space. That's your right. That's your energy. That's your self-respect in motion. And if you've ever wondered why some people draw attention effortlessly, it's this. They've mastered the art of physical composure. Their body speaks before their words do. And what it says is simple, I belong here. Say it with me, I belong here. When you move like you believe that, the world believes it too. Your silence becomes power when your body speaks confidence. Repeat that until it's carved into your mind. Every room you enter, every conversation you have, every glance you share, your body is speaking. Make sure it says what you want it to say. Make sure it says, I respect myself. Make sure it says, I'm calm, I'm centered, I'm in control. That's the language of body confidence, and it's more persuasive than words will ever be. You've learned how to let your body communicate respect. Now it's time to learn how to use your mind to create presence that others can feel, without trying. You've mastered your posture, your eye contact, your stillness. Now let's go deeper into the invisible force behind it all, your energy. Chapter 7. Don't chase, attract. Neediness kills attraction. The moment you chase, you lose your value. You already know this deep down, but you keep forgetting. You keep running after people, opportunities, validation, and attention that should be coming to you. You chase because you doubt your own worth. You chase because you think if you don't, you'll lose something. But here's the truth. The act of chasing itself is what makes you lose. When you chase, you send a signal, I don't have enough. You tell the world, I'm not the prize. And when you do that, people believe you. That's how attraction works, silently, invisibly. People are drawn to those who move with purpose, not desperation. You've seen it before, the person who barely says a word but commands a room. The one who doesn't try too hard, yet everyone wants to be near them. That's not luck. That's energy. It's not about arrogance. It's about control. Control of your time. Control of your attention. Control of your emotions. Because here's the law of attraction that nobody teaches. You don't get what you chase, you get what you align with. When you're chasing, you're operating from scarcity. When you're aligned, you're operating from abundance. The difference between the two? Stillness. You're not grasping. You're not reaching. You're not forcing. You're building. You're improving. You're elevating. That's the energy that pulls people in. You don't need to chase what naturally belongs to a confident person. Let that sink in. When you focus on yourself, your growth, your fitness, your craft, your inner peace, you automatically raise your frequency. You become magnetic. People start noticing you, not because you shouted for attention, but because your silence has power. That's attraction. That's real pull. But chasing? Chasing makes you smaller. It says, I'll bend, I'll shrink, I'll compromise just so you like me. No confident person does that. Confidence isn't loud. It's disciplined. Every time you run after something or someone, you give up a piece of your energy. You dilute your power. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing, the very things you wanted begin to move toward you. Why? Because people respect mystery. They respect strength. They respect boundaries. You think chasing shows commitment. It doesn't. It shows fear. It shows you're afraid of losing, afraid of being ignored, afraid of missing out. But when you hold your position, calm, silent, focused, you project a completely different message. I'm already complete. If you fit, fine. If not, I keep moving. That's confidence. That's class. That's self-respect in action. You don't need their permission. You don't need their validation. You don't even need their attention. You only need alignment with who you are and where you're going. The universe works through energy, not effort. You can't beg for what you're meant to embody. You can't plead for what you're supposed to attract. You attract what you become. So stop trying to be liked. Stop explaining yourself. Stop convincing people of your worth. Show up in silence. Let your energy do the talking. Every time you feel the urge to chase, pause. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of losing? If it's peace, then stop. Because your peace is worth more than any person, any opportunity, or any approval. You must remember, attraction begins when you stop trying. When you stop chasing, you make space for the right things to flow toward you. Let's be real, desperation repels. Self-respect attracts. Desperation says, please choose me. Self-respect says, I already chose myself. And that's the key. You have a choice. You can spend your life chasing people who never saw your worth, or you can build a life so valuable that people can't help but want to be part of it. Don't post to get attention, work to earn respect. Don't talk to prove your worth. Move in silence until they ask what you're doing. Don't beg for love. Embody the kind of energy that love chases. You don't need to chase what naturally belongs to a confident person. You need to focus on becoming the kind of person who attracts effortlessly. Your job isn't to convince. Your job is to elevate. Raise your standards. Protect your peace. Stay unavailable for anything that drains your power. Because every time you stay silent when others are begging for attention, every time you choose solitude over validation, every time you pick discipline over desperation, you increase your value. And when your value rises, attraction becomes automatic. It's not about being cold or detached. It's about being intentional. You decide what deserves your time, your energy, your focus. That's how you lead. That's how you attract. So the next time someone tries to pull you into a chase, smile. Stay calm. Don't explain. Don't prove. Just stay focused on your purpose. Because your purpose is your magnet. Your peace is your power. And your silence is your secret weapon. You don't need to chase what naturally belongs to a confident person. Remember that every single day. You're not here to beg for attention. You're here to command it through excellence, self-control, and quiet strength. You mastered the art of attraction. Now, it's time to take it further. Because attraction without boundaries is chaos. So let's take your power to the next level. Chapter 8. Boundaries create desire. Boundaries are not walls, they're gates. They don't block people out. They filter who gets in. And when you have strong boundaries, you don't repel people, you make them want your presence more. That's the truth few understand. Boundaries create desire. Why? Because humans always value what they can't easily access. Scarcity builds respect. Access builds comfort. When you're too available, too open, too easy to reach, people stop valuing you. Let's get this straight. Being nice doesn't make you attractive. Being available 24/7 doesn't make you desirable. Being overly understanding doesn't make people love you more. It makes them respect you less. Attraction isn't about giving everything away. It's about limiting access so others realize your value. The truth is, people only respect what they have to earn. When you give your time, attention, and energy freely, you teach them it costs nothing. And when something costs nothing, people treat it like it's worth nothing. You have to stop overgiving. Stop explaining your boundaries. Stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You have a right to your peace. You have a right to your time. You have a right to say no. That's the key. When you say no with confidence, you tell the world, my time is valuable. When you walk away instead of chasing, you communicate, I'm not desperate for validation. When you stop explaining yourself, you show power. Remember this, boundaries are not about control, they're about clarity. You're not trying to control anyone else. You're simply making it clear what you will and won't accept. And that clarity is magnetic. People crave structure, even in relationships. They crave the feeling that they have to earn your attention. It gives your presence weight. It makes your yes matter. You don't need to shout your worth. You just need to act like someone whose energy is rare. That's how boundaries create desire. Look around. The people who command the most respect, they're not the loudest, they're not the most available, and they're not the most accommodating. They're the ones who have standards. They know who they are. They know what they allow. And here's the truth. Boundaries don't push away the right people. They push away the wrong ones. They filter out the distractions, the manipulators, and the emotionally immature. The ones who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from your lack of them. That's why you can't be afraid to draw the line. You can't be scared to lose people who only stayed because you had no self-respect. When you finally set boundaries, you might feel guilt. That's normal. But guilt fades. Regret doesn't. Regret is what you feel when you've let people walk all over you for too long. Boundaries are not selfish. they're self-preserving. They're how you protect your focus, your peace, and your emotional energy. They're how you remind yourself, I come first. And here's the paradox. When you respect yourself that deeply, people can't help but feel drawn to you. Because respect is attractive. Independence is attractive. Discipline is attractive. You don't need to chase what naturally belongs to a confident person. You simply need to protect your space so it can flow to you. Boundaries are the invisible aura that say, I don't need anyone, but I value the right ones. That's what keeps people curious. That's what keeps people wanting more. You ever notice how mystery is magnetic? How the less you reveal, the more people lean in. That's not an accident. That's the psychology of boundaries. You can't be everywhere for everyone, all the time, and still expect to be respected. Desire grows in space. When someone has to wait to hear from you, they value the response more. When someone knows your time is limited, they show up more intentionally. When you don't react to every little thing, people learn to approach you with more care. You train others how to treat you. Every day. If you tolerate disrespect, you teach it. If you reward inconsistency, you invite it. But when you enforce boundaries, silently, calmly, consistently, you create a field of respect around you. That's how leaders operate. They don't explain their every move. They don't seek approval for their standards. They just live by them. Boundaries tell the world, I know my worth. And that confidence radiates. People want to be near that kind of energy. Because it's rare. Because it's powerful. Because it's grounded. You don't attract by overextending. You attract by containing your energy. You attract by being selective. You attract by saying no when something doesn't serve your peace. That's how desire is created. Through presence, not pressure. Through silence, not pleading. Through self-control, not approval-seeking. So the next time you feel guilty for saying no, remember this, your no is not rejection. It's redirection. It's how you keep your power. You can't pour into everyone and expect to stay full. You can't say yes to everything and expect to stay strong. You can't keep chasing and expect to be respected. Boundaries are the key. They create space. Space creates curiosity. Curiosity creates desire. And that's the formula of attraction. Stillness. Strength. Selectivity. The most magnetic people in the world aren't the loudest. They're the ones who've mastered access control. Not everyone gets their time. Not everyone earns their response. That's what makes them powerful. You don't need to shout to be heard. You don't need to explain to be understood. You just need to stand firm in your boundaries and watch how the world adjusts. Because it will. It always does. People respect what's hard to reach. And when your peace becomes the most protected thing in your life, people will chase your presence, not because you gave it freely, but because you made it sacred. Remember, boundaries don't push love away. They purify it. They separate the ones who value you from the ones who use you. So stop being afraid of being too much. Be the person with standards. Be the one who says no calmly, walks away silently, and never explains their worth. That's how you become silently attractive. That's how desire grows, not through chasing, but through containment. You've learned how to attract. You've learned how to create desire. Now it's time to master the next level of influence, the one that turns silence into magnetism. Chapter 9. Quiet consistency builds unshakable presence. Presence is not something you perform. It's something you build. Brick by brick. Day by day. Action by action. You don't become silently attractive overnight. You become it through repetition. Through structure. Through discipline when nobody's watching. Because real power doesn't show up in noise, it shows up in rhythm. And that rhythm is built on one foundation: consistency. Let me make this clear: you don't get confidence from luck. You don't get respect from one big win. You earn it through consistency. Through doing the right things so often that your results become impossible to ignore. That's the secret. Consistency creates confidence. Confidence creates attraction. Say it again. Consistency creates confidence. Confidence creates attraction. People try to look confident without building anything behind it. They fake it. They pose. They talk loudly about what they will do. But here's the truth. When there's no substance, the act fades fast. The quietly attractive person doesn't talk about what they're building. They build. They move in silence. They wake up early. They stay disciplined. They take care of their body, their mindset, their environment. And while everyone else is seeking attention, they're sharpening their edge. Because silent confidence isn't arrogance, it's evidence. It's the natural byproduct of repeated effort, repeated discipline, repeated follow-through. You don't need to convince anyone you're valuable when your life already shows it. You just need to stay consistent enough for your presence to speak louder than your words. That's the key. Most people chase instant validation. They want to be respected without being reliable. They want results without repetition. They want attraction without effort. But what's truly magnetic is someone who's stable. Someone who's grounded. Someone who doesn't need the world to clap for them to keep going. That kind of person draws attention naturally. Because consistency builds trust. And trust, in yourself, in your direction, in your habits, is what creates a powerful presence. You have a choice. You can keep starting over every Monday, chasing quick motivation. Or you can become the person who never stops showing up, even when nobody's watching. You can keep explaining your goals to everyone. Or you can let your progress explain it for you. It's not about speed, it's about endurance. It's not about hype, it's about patience. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. That's the real flex. That's what makes people stop and pay attention without you saying a word. Because when you're consistent, people can feel it. They feel the energy of someone who's dependable. Someone who's solid. Someone who's not pretending. You don't have to post your progress. Your aura changes. You don't have to prove your worth. Your posture shows it. That's what quiet consistency does. It sharpens your presence until you walk into a room, and people just know. They don't know why, but they feel it. That's the weight of discipline. That's the energy of someone who's earned their calm. And here's the paradox. Consistency isn't glamorous. It's repetition. It's routine. It's doing what's necessary long after it stops being exciting. It's waking up early when you'd rather sleep. It's going to the gym when nobody else shows up. It's reading when everyone else is scrolling. That's where you separate yourself. Not in grand gestures, but in small, relentless steps. Quietly consistent people don't need to say, "I'm focused." You can see it. Their eyes are clear. Their movements are intentional. Their speech is measured. That's what daily discipline builds, a quiet self-assurance that no one can fake. And yes, you will have days where you don't want to do it. You'll have moments where no one notices your effort. But remember, this is where your confidence is born. Not in applause, but in persistence without recognition. Because confidence is not a performance, it's a pattern. And patterns are built through consistency. Let's make it practical. Start with your body, because how you treat your body shapes how you carry yourself. Eat clean. Train regularly. Sleep enough. When your physical foundation is solid, your energy naturally commands attention. Next, your mind. Feed it daily. Read. Reflect. Learn. The more you know, the less you need to prove. That silent intelligence, the kind that radiates without effort. And your habits, track them. Discipline doesn't just happen, it's measured. Write, plan, follow through. Every small act reinforces who you're becoming. Every quiet win builds momentum. Every repeated action shapes your identity. That's how presence is built, layer by layer. You see, when you stay consistent, you no longer chase results. You become the result. Your consistency becomes your charisma. Your habits become your halo. And here's what happens. People start noticing the difference. They can't quite explain it, but they can sense your order. They can sense your discipline. They can sense that you're not here for attention, you're here for mastery. That's magnetic. Because in a world full of distractions, discipline is attractive. In a world full of talkers, consistency is rare. And what's rare will always be desired. So stop looking for shortcuts. Stop waiting for motivation. Start building systems. Start showing up, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. You don't need to shout your progress. You just need to stack it. You don't need to be seen every day. You just need to improve every day. That's how you build unshakable presence. Because when you know you've done the work, no one can take that away. No one can question it. No one can compete with it. Consistency gives you peace. Peace gives you confidence. Confidence gives you attraction. Say it again. Consistency creates confidence. Confidence creates attraction. It's not about talent. It's not about looks. It's about showing up over and over and over again. You don't need their permission to keep improving. You don't need validation to keep going. You just need discipline. Because when the world gets loud, the consistent stay calm. When everyone else burns out, the consistent still stand tall. When attention fades, the consistent rise. That's how your presence becomes unshakable. Because it's built on something deeper than popularity. It's built on principle. Quiet consistency is the foundation of power. The longer you hold your rhythm, the louder your silence becomes. You've built strength. You've built control. You've built presence. Now it's time to master what holds it all together, the calm that commands attention. Chapter 10. Be the calm in every storm. Everyone can be calm when life is easy. But the real test, the real separation, happens when chaos hits. When things don't go your way. When people push your buttons. When the world demands your reaction. That's when true power is revealed. Anyone can talk about control. Few can live it when pressure builds. That's why calm people stand out, because calm is rare. Calm is strength disguised as stillness. You've seen it before. Someone loses their temper over something small. Someone else stays silent, focused, unbothered. Guess who everyone respects more? Not the loud one. Not the reactive one. The calm one. Because calmness under fire is leadership. It's self-mastery in real time. You have a choice. Every day, every moment, in every storm, you have a choice. React or respond. Lose yourself or lead yourself. You can't control the world, but you can control your state. And that's the key. Be the calm in every storm. Not because life is easy, but because you've trained your emotions. You've built yourself from the inside out. It's not about being cold. It's about being centered. It's not about ignoring pain. It's about not letting pain define you. It's not about pretending things don't affect you. It's about learning to manage what deserves your energy. That's emotional intelligence. That's emotional control. That's what makes you silently attractive. When you are calm, people feel safe around you. When you are calm, people listen differently. When you are calm, you become the anchor in a room full of chaos. That's presence. That's dominance without words. And that's what this entire audiobook has been building toward. Mastering the calm that attracts, commands, and influences without needing attention. Think about it. Storms are temporary. But calm is eternal, if you build it. When you become calm in chaos, you become powerful beyond explanation. People try to intimidate you. You stay calm. They try to provoke you. You stay calm. They misunderstand you, disrespect you, underestimate you. You still stay calm. Why? Because your power doesn't live in their opinion. It lives in your composure. You don't need their permission to be unshakable. You don't need their apology to move forward. You don't need their understanding to keep your peace. That's strength. That's attraction. That's mastery. You see, the calm person doesn't chase control of others. They master control of themselves. Because once you master yourself, the world bends differently around you. You don't get pulled by every emotion, every mood, every insult. You move with clarity. You speak with weight. Your presence becomes magnetic because your energy is stable. When you stop being reactive, you stop being predictable. When you stop being predictable, you become powerful. That's how leaders move. That's how confident people attract. Not through noise, through neutrality. You have to understand something. Calmness is not passive. It's an active decision. It's a trained muscle. You build it like strength. Every time you choose patience instead of anger, you're training it. Every time you walk away instead of arguing, you're reinforcing it. Every time you breathe instead of explode, you're expanding it. You are building emotional armor. Not to hide, but to lead. Because while everyone else is burning out from reaction, you're glowing from restraint. You're not rushing. You're not forcing. You move slow, think clear, and act intentionally. That's the power of the calm mind. That's what separates the emotionally reactive from the emotionally elite. Calm doesn't mean you don't care. Calm means you care deeply, but you choose to stay grounded. You choose not to let the outside world dictate your inner world. That's control. That's composure. That's command. You must remind yourself, storms are not the problem, your reaction is. The louder the world gets, the quieter you should become. Because silence cuts through noise faster than shouting ever will. You have to protect that calm like it's sacred, because it is. It's your shield against manipulation. It's your weapon against chaos. It's your proof of self-respect. When you hold your calm in moments of pressure, people notice. They feel your energy. They respect it, even if they don't say it. They think, I can't shake this person. That's the goal. Unshakable presence. You don't get that from pretending. You get that from preparation. You build it through discipline, through meditation, through reflection, through practicing silence when your ego wants to speak. You become dangerous not because you can react, but because you don't have to. You have nothing to prove. You have nothing to defend. You have everything to protect: your energy, your peace, your composure. Be the calm in every storm. Not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. In a world addicted to reaction, calmness is rebellion. In a culture of noise, silence is dominance. So when the storm comes, and it will, don't panic. Don't shrink. Stand tall. Breathe slow. Observe everything. Speak little. Your calm will do the talking. Your calm will lead the room. Your calm will attract what noise never could. It's not about being liked. It's about being respected. It's not about being loud. It's about being centered. Because when you can stay calm under pressure, people trust you. They follow your energy. They mirror your tone. That's what makes you silently attractive. Not looks, not charm, not words. It's emotional stability. It's peace that can't be stolen. When you reach this level, you no longer seek control of the external world. You own your internal one. That's freedom. That's real confidence. That's power. You have mastered yourself. You have trained your mind. You have learned to lead with stillness, not with sound. Be the calm in every storm. Because when the storm ends, and it always does, people will look for the one who stayed grounded. They will find you. You've learned silence. You've learned energy. You've learned discipline. You've learned self-respect. Now you've learned calm, the final stage of silent attraction. Because the world doesn't need more noise. It needs more calm. It needs more people who can lead with stillness, not ego. You are that person now. You are the calm in every storm. And that calm will make everything flow to you effortlessly. End of the book. Silent attraction isn't about manipulation. It's about transformation. It's about becoming the kind of person who doesn't need to impress anyone to be respected by everyone. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop talking, you start commanding. When you stop explaining, you start being understood without words. You now know the habits. Control your emotions, move with purpose, protect your boundaries, and show respect for yourself in every small action. Practice them daily until they become who you are. Because real attractiveness isn't something you perform, it's something you embody. Be the calm in every storm. Be the mystery that speaks without words. Be the power that doesn't need to shout. Starting today, walk into every room knowing this: you don't need attention. Attention needs you.